Hello, everybody. Scott Golden Opportunities Coaching / Pro Wrestling Logic. Of course, you're not familiar with the Golden Opportunities Coaching because that's not what this channel is for, but the Pro Wrestling Logic you are. This is the TNT review for the 18th of January, 1985. This is more wedding fallout, more hillbilly gym training, easy for me to say, and a whole bunch more hilarity. Again, these shows will be a little bit shorter. Usually the review's clocking at about 10 to 15 minutes because the shows are only 45 minutes. They've been cut back to an hour. Perhaps the USA Network wasn't impressed with them, or perhaps it was just easier to produce them this way. I don't know. Anyway, Hogan goes back to the gym with Hillbilly Jim. Hillbilly still wants to get in the ring. He's not ready. He's uncoordinated. He's still lifting like a beast. He is, uh, you know, still kind of awkward and all that stuff. We do see him do a little bit more. He runs the ropes a bit better. He's still lifting weights just still awkwardly, but he's showing improvement. Hogan is proud of him, and Hogan is ready to really embrace him and bring him to the next level. It's odd that the guy who is accused of later breaking Hillbilly Jim's leg, which we'll hear about over the next few weeks here, is Brutus Beefcake that's actually tied to Hulk Hogan, because if Hulk Hogan didn't exist within the WWF world, I don't know that Beefcake ever would have gotten his shot. Hogan advocated for Beefcake to come in with him in late 84, early 85, and it's kind of one of those friends doing favors for people. And they go back all the way to the 70s in the Pensacola / Alabama territory. So, friendship means a lot. And I say that to wrestlers all the time, but I say that to people I do business coaching with. If you got one friend with powerful connections, it's worth more than 10 years of training, in some cases anyway. So then we go off to midget wrestler Skylo Low. He discusses the wedding of Butcher Vachon in great detail, talks about the dysfunction, talks about the fact he doesn't believe the wedding is going to last, talks about Vachon being married several times, apologizes for losing the ring. We see some midget action. We see some back and forth there. We also see that he is part of the hilarity that causes the ring to get lost. Um, that leads to the brawl in the ring and all that other stuff. He talks about the history of midget wrestling and having to be tough and having to keep things going. Actually, I'm pretty sure, I'd have to look it up, and maybe I will in the next few days, but I'm pretty sure that Skylo Low did some acting work, and I seem to remember him maybe doing some acting for things like Little House on the Prairie at the time. I could be wrong on that, but I know they had a little person doing some recurring roles on Little House on the Prairie, and he looked a lot like Skylo Low does here. Of course, my generation's more the Tiger Jackson generation. Um, we go back. We visit the food fight at the wedding. Obviously, that's chaos and you know uh, stupidity, and we then go back to um, some midget wrestling stuff, which actually out of sequence, but we see some really old, I'd say 70s footage of Skylo Low in a tag match, basic midget spots, the biting of the referee's backside and the go around there. Nothing really. I mean, the clip's very short. If you're a fan of midget wrestling, worth going out of your way to see. Skylo Low footage, because he's pretty well retired by the mid 80s at this point. His footage is harder to come by, with the VCR really not coming out nationally until between 75 and 78, depending on where you were in the country. His footage hard to come by unless it's from a wrestling archive. So if you want to see Skylo Low, which is a guy they talk about quite a bit, in the annals of midget wrestling and special attractions, this is a good opportunity to do that. Um, Obviously, he's with the advantage in going over in the match, but they discuss his boots when they come back. The Executioner is up next. I don't think, and if somebody knows who's filling the Executioner role at this point, I do not think it's Playboy Buddy Rose at this point. It is Rose in the WrestleMania 1 match with Tito Santana. However, I get the sense from the voice and the body mannerisms that it's somebody else playing the role here. Perhaps if you know who's playing the role, it'd be worth commenting below, and I would appreciate it. Um, because I'm actually curious who it is in the role. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Rose, but I'm pretty sure that Rose has a little bit of a different body type than this, and the mask is different. Of course, the mask that Rose wears in the WrestleMania 1 encounter is red and black. The mask here for this executioner is blue and white, or blue and silver, actually. There is some white in the mask as well, but predominantly blue and silver. Unfamiliar with who's in the role. We do see a clipped match with Tito Santana and the Executioner. Odd, because obviously they would do battle a few months later at WrestleMania 1 with, I believe, a different person playing the role. Um, so then very basic match. Match is clipped. Santana, obviously, the winner here. And I can't get over how underrated Tito Santana is. The more I get into watching 1984-85 stuff, and you got to remember, I didn't become a fan until '89, so my memory of things pre 1987 is fuzzy at best. The more I get into watching older Tito Santana, the more I'm really understanding why he was given a main role as the Intercontinental Champion. He's good in the ring no matter who you put him in there with. He gets a crowd reaction. Obviously, TV tapings, it's easier to do that because it's a smaller audience. But at the same time, if you watch him at the Boston Garden, the Philly Spectrum, the Cap Center in Baltimore, or MSG, he's always getting a good reaction. At this point, he's more going for the figure four in matches than he is the flying forearm. That comes a little bit later. The forearm is predominantly the finish for, let's say, 87 forward, the defeat of the Hart Foundation. But the figure four, the major thing here, which uh, there's a tie into the funks. Not that Tito uses the spinning toe hold, but tie into the funks with the leg hold. I just find that interesting. Then we go back to Captain Lou Albano. He's talking about MS and the money they raised, talking about wanting to be a better person again. And then we kind of go into that. There's the apology again for things getting out of control. Um, as ultimately Piper ends up uh, getting in the face of and later assaulting Captain Lou here. Piper insinuates in masterful storytelling again for the second time in the TNT set that it is Lou Albano who's skimming off the top, skimming money from the MS victims. I think it's actually Piper who calls it muscular dystrophy and not MS, and it's quickly corrected. But it's just really amazing and interesting. Um, Anyhow, that's the overview here. Piper's stuff is phenomenal. He's really getting into the rock and wrestling thing. He thinks he's better than everybody. He's just a cut above the rest in not only just quick wittedness, but his delivery's believable. He's high strung the whole time out. Of course, some would say that's due to illicit drug use. I wasn't there, so I don't know that. What I do know is that Piper's memorable with every segment he's in. We then close the program with, and you're gonna laugh, in one of those vignettes that makes no sense. Lord Alfred Hayes gets a haircut. Um, That's kind of there as just a comedy spot. That's a close. If you need to do anything, go out of your way to watch again the whole Piper and Albano segments. I would actually watch their stuff through WrestleMania 1 week by week is phenomenal episodic television. It's missing, especially from SmackDown, which I dread having to watch tonight, but I'm doing it to keep abreast of what's going on. If I want to eventually run an independent company over the next 3 to 5 years, I really feel I've got to watch most of the national companies just to keep tabs on what's going on. But SmackDown week by week is a just ugly, ugly program. But this is not. Um, the shorter version of TNT moves at a much better clip. I tend to prefer it. They are staying away from non-sequential segments, only one per show right now. They do go back to it post WrestleMania 1, but right now everything is there for a reason. But I will remind you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.